Welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy for Global Real Estate School, and thank you so much for joining me on a Monday afternoon, still in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, and hopefully you are doing okay and staying safe. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of you, but we're going to get through this, and we're all going to be stronger on the other side, right? We just have to keep speaking positive words and thinking positive, and things will work out. So I'm going to just make sure we are broadcasting loud and clear. I believe we are. I hope I'm on the right channel, and I could be on my other channel, but I believe I'm on the business. Let's see here. I'm going to try one more thing. Hopefully I'm not broadcasting. I think I'm okay, so I'm gonna, it's not showing. Let me try one quick thing here. I think we're okay. Yep, we are. We're live now. I thought we were, so. Okay, so we're gonna continue on, and today I want to talk about antitrust a little bit. Again, I'm trying to pick some of these topics that specifically the subject matter that's dealing with from the realtors' website, some of the quizzes they have, and their topics and information that you will have on the real estate examination. But antitrust is one area that you're going to definitely see on the real estate examination. And there are several things, I want to kind of tell you my take on antitrust, and then we'll actually pull up our course material on antitrust and take a look there on how antitrust operates and works. A couple of things you need to know about antitrust. It's also, you might see the wording or terminology, the Sherman Antitrust Act, and it really deals with a couple of things. Price fixing. Not only does it deal with price fixing, but it also deals with the allocation of markets and customers. Okay, so we're going to specifically look at all of the areas of the Sherman Antitrust Act, and then kind of go in and do the quiz that we have through the Realtor organization, National Association of Realtors, and then we'll come back and wrap some things up. So I need to go over to my iPad first. So I am going to stream, and I apologize. I think I have been busier through all of this than it seems like I was prior. I'm doing a lot of virtual meetings, and that's just kind of been a big deal that a lot of people have needed. And of course, I'm on a couple of state organizations in leadership capacity. You can see on my YouTube channel, I upgraded my photo though. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, and finally hired that out through my Fiverr folks. I have a guy on Fiverr that does a lot of work for me, and he helped me out with that, so I was very grateful for that. Okay, we're going to talk about Sherman Antitrust, and then we'll kind of get in and look at some, as I said, some material in the book. And I think sometimes this is kind of always fun to do a picture in a picture. And so let's see here. Put my picture right up there, and we will go live. So there we go. All right. I'm learning this software a little bit. The more I do Zoom meetings, and I use Switcher Studio for this streaming, I'm learning more and more of the tools and things that I can use. And one thing I forgot to use was my little new program, My Real Estate Exam Coach. So check that out. don't forget about that, okay? We'll talk about that later. I always forget to put I have these really cool overlays so I can put my name up and some different things. That's not a good one there, but I always forget to do that. So I have to remind myself to put my logo up there and my name occasionally. Well, let's talk about Sherman Antitrust Act. And the first thing you have to know is that commissions are negotiable. Commissions are always negotiable. Now, one of the things about the Sherman Antitrust Act is you will occasionally have people that will ask you the question, what do you charge to sell a home? Or what commission rate do you charge? And we have to always remember that what? Commissions are negotiable. Now, let's just say that maybe my company charges 6% commission, okay? And we're just using this as, again, as a training and an educational purpose. But if I charge a 6% commission, this is what Mayfield Real Estate charges, okay? Now, if a person called and asked me the question, what does your office charge for commission? And I was to say, our office, Mayfield Real Estate, charges X percent. In this case, I would say we charge 6% commission. And that's only if we sell your house. If we don't sell it, you don't owe us anything. A lot of times the next question from the caller will be, well, is that the normal commission? Or is that the standard rate? Or is that what everybody else charges? And what do you say in that situation? Well, you always say, I have no idea what anyone else charges. I only know what our company charges. Okay? Because if you were to say that's the norm or that's the average, that could be insinuating as that you are price fixing. And part of what's under the Sherman Antitrust Act is you cannot price fix. Okay? So, good example. Never, ever, let me say that again, never, ever, and if I could put that in bold and capital letters, never, ever discuss commission rates or commissions with other real estate brokers in your marketplace or outside your marketplace. You just don't discuss that. Why? Because that can be insinuating that you are fixing prices. And so commissions are always negotiable. Now, you're going to have 2 or 3 questions on the exam. Trust me, that will deal with that specific topic right there. And the answer is commissions are always negotiable. Now, so you can't fix, rates, so I'm going to put no fixing by an amount or by a percentage. You just can't do it. The other thing you cannot do under the Sherman Antitrust Act is allocate markets or customers. In other words, I can't say to if this is broker A and this is me, I can't say to broker A, you take everybody on this side of the highway and I'll take everybody on that side of the highway. That's allocating markets. It's interesting. I've spent time in France helping a friend of mine in his office over there. And literally what I saw in France, even though they don't come out and say it, is, this is my street and you stay over there. And, there was pretty much territorial type of areas. I don't know. I mean, I think they're slowly getting past all of that, but we can't do that here in the United States. That would be a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. The other thing is you can't allocate customers. So I can't say to broker A, you take everybody that's under 100,000 and I'll take everybody over 100,000. See that again? That's allocating customers, markets. You just can't do that. Consumers have to have a free, open playing field that they can freely shop around and work with, shop rates and so forth. What's interesting, and again, I go back to my time in France, and I've been very blessed, and I don't say this to brag in any way whatsoever. I've been very blessed to have been able to travel and speak internationally. I just spoke in my 25th country this past fall. But what I see in a lot of countries, especially when you get over in the eastern part of Europe, which would be the I have to always look at that. But when you get into the Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, some of those countries, not all of them, but some of those countries where they do not practice exclusive agency. Bulgaria is one good example. It's not uncommon for them. I mean, the mentality for the consumer, which is not uncommon, is that they see things in the absolute reverse way that we look at them. We look at regulating real estate and antitrust laws as a way to protect the consumer. They look at regulating real estate laws and some of these issues as a detriment to the consumer. They actually just see it, they feel like the more people they can allow to sell real estate, the better it is for the consumer. We look at it here as that, really professionals in real estate need to be regulated because we want to protect the consumer. And so it's very interesting, the mindset and how they look at it from a different angle. And I totally understand how they're looking at it. You let more and more people have real estate license without having to go to school or get a license. Yes, the prices come down. When I teach exclusive agency in places like Bulgaria and Serbia and Greece, they tell me, and especially in Bulgaria, that the cab driver, literally the same Uber driver they have, will give them a real estate card and say, I can help find you a home to buy. And so it drives the prices way down, and the government's thinking, well, that's good for consumers because it allows them to get things at a more reasonable cost. But the flip side is, because of that, and I hear this from my Bulgarian friends, the flip side of that is there are so many people out trying to be involved in the real estate business that they're doing things that are underhanded and not very ethical and collecting money without disclosing to, I'm just giving you examples. And that's why we have regulations here. We want to protect. So you cannot allocate markets, prices, and you can't fix commissions. Totally off limits. Again, those are violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Now, the next part of the puzzle for the Sherman Antitrust Act has to do with the multiple listing service, the MLS. And this, the way most MLSs work is we have I'm going to put the big R for the National Association of Realtors here. And then underneath the National Association of Realtors, you have your State Association of Realtors. And then underneath the state, we have the local So this is my example. This is the Mineral Area Board that I'm a member of, the local board, and we're members of the Missouri Realtors, which I am the treasurer this year for Missouri Realtors, so I will be the president-elect next year, I guess is how they call it, and president, hopefully, if I don't do anything wrong, which I'm not going to. But so I'm I'm a member of the local Mineral Area Board, been board president 3 times, served on all the different committees. Now, because we belong to the local board, we belong to the state board, and the state board belongs to the National Association of Realtors, NAR. Now, the MLS, though, just to kind of show you this, the MLS is normally from a local level, right now anyway. And so the MLS, also referred to as the Multiple Listing Service, this is where we put our listings. Now, years ago, the MLS, the big function or the main player about the MLS was I wanted my listings in the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service, because they would be shared out to all the other local offices. So all of the agents in my local board would get information about my new listing. And, it evolved for me, because I've had my license since 1978, it evolved from a 3-ring note binder that we had to go in and update and make changes with a pen because we got the updates once every 2 weeks or once every month, to a bound book, which was kind of neat because the bound book we got every 2 weeks, but it was interesting. You would get your bound book, and the new listing section, the listings were still 8-10 days old, but we had a bound book we could take with us in our car and look at. And then we went to the computer plus the book. Then we got rid of the book and strictly had the computer, and now we have the MLS, and now everything from the MLS is pushed out, syndicated to Zillow, Realtor.com, and so forth. So let me go back to the old days and why the MLS falls under antitrust, Sherman Antitrust. If we go back to the old days, and I'm going to just draw this pink thing around right here. If I could go to you as a seller and say, well, you got to list with me because it's going to go on the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service, and statistics will tell you that a huge percentage of homes that are sold from the MLS. In the old days, we'd look through the book and I'd say, oh, that house looks interesting. I think I have somebody that might be interested in that. And then we kind of went along to the computer where I could say to the computer, I have someone looking for this price range, and I'd type all that stuff in and I'd get a list of properties. And then I could look and say, well, let's look at these 3. Then the computer evolved to the fact that I could put your information in, and as soon as a new listing comes available, it notified me by text or email, or the minute I logged into the MLS, you got a new match, and I could call my client up. And then it's kind of evolved to where now, the minute I put a listing in the Multiple Listing Service, it shoots out to Zillow within seconds and Realtor.com. It goes on my website, and with IDX exchanges, it goes on all these other broker websites. And then consumers are saving searches on Zillow, and boom, a buyer who's looking for something just like what you listed is at work, and they get notified on their phone through Zillow that John Mayfield just listed this house, and they call their agent up, or if they don't have an agent, they call me up, make an appointment, and they can buy a home that quick. Kind of see the progression of what I've witnessed and seen. Now, if you were a broker and you started your company, let's say you used to work for me and you take 10 agents and you start your own company, and I'm upset and I have a lot of clout with my local board and some of the other brokers, and we're all like, can you believe John Doe is starting an office? Man, we got to keep divvying the pie up now because he's going to take part of the profit by starting a whole new office. Well, here's what we'll do to John Doe. We'll just not let him in the multiple listing service, because if he can't get in the MLS, his clients won't want to list their house with him because they know the MLS is what shoots it out to all of the portals on the internet, notifies other agents and potential buyers when it's online. You see how that goes? And so if you tried to keep someone from joining the MLS by those underhanded tactics, because you're thinking, well, if we don't let them join the MLS, they won't be able to get listings or market their company very well, and eventually they'll be out of business. That is a violation of Sherman Antitrust. So not only can you not, you can't price fix, commissions are negotiable, you can't allocate market areas or prices of customers, and you can't allocate customers, the type clients or customers, and you can't keep people out of the MLS, the multiple listing service. It's all part of the antitrust, Sherman Antitrust. Now, why do we do that? Because we want to open up competition. We want to make buyers the ability to go out and shop around for the best possible rate they can get. Commissions are always negotiable. I was at a national realtors meeting last year in Washington, D.C., and unfortunately we're not going to be able to go to Washington, D.C. We always go in May. And I was in the Professional Development Committee meeting. And there was, by the way, Professional Development Committee is made up of instructors like me. And I get it. I didn't do very well on the Can Spam Act quiz, okay? But this, every instructor should know. Every instructor should know. Commissions are negotiable. And there was a guy there that was just up in arms because he was from Toronto, where the market is very hot, extremely hot. And he was upset because brokers who were taking new listings were only offering $1 as a commission split. In other words, if I got a new listing for this company in Toronto, and the MLS, it said, how much are you willing to share with another agent? I put $1. And he was all up in arms and said, you can't do that. Well, yes, you can. Commissions are negotiable. If I only want to pay you or someone else $1 as a cooperating broker, I have the right to do that. Now, I need to have that conversation with my client and make sure they understand what I'm doing, the seller, because it could hurt them. Maybe other brokers purposely won't show my properties. There again, they're kind of violating their fiduciary obligation for a buyer. And I don't mean to get real deep on this, but what I want you to understand is this: commissions are negotiable. They're negotiable between the broker and the client, which would be the seller or the buyer. They're negotiable between the broker and other brokers. And they're negotiable between the broker and their own agents. Commissions are always negotiable. Now, if you learn that and can understand that, you've got 3 or 4 questions right on the exam. It doesn't matter how they doctor the question up. Commissions are always negotiable. There's a question, and I saw this question similar to this years ago, and it was a good question. And they worded this thing it was so enticing. And in a nutshell, basically was this. This agent got this listing with these really good friends of theirs. And like one day later, the agent got mad at their broker and left the company. Can the couple, whom the question just described their wonderful relationship with the listing agent, get out of their listing? And the answer is no. Why? Because listings are between the broker and the client, not the agent. If the agent dies, the listing's still valid. Listings are between the broker and the client. The agent, as you get your license as an agent, you're just a nobody. I'm sorry to inform you that. But the list, even though you go out and get the listing, that listing's between the broker and the seller or the buyer, the client, whoever you have the written agreement with, okay? So I tell you that to say they will really word these questions up. And you might say, "Oh gosh, I feel so sorry." And well, in this case, I'd almost be positive. Poor little listing agent. He's known those people all his life. He can take that with him. No, listings are between the broker and the client could be the seller or the buyer. And commissions are always negotiable. They're negotiable between the client and the broker, negotiable between the broker and other brokers, and negotiable between the broker and their own agents. You've just gotten 5 questions right. Just don't deviate from that. Ever, 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 okay? Don't deviate from that. Regardless of what they say in the question, John said commissions are negotiable, and agreements, agency agreements, whether it's a seller or a buyer, are between the broker and the client. Okay. I'm telling you, you just got 5 questions right if you just don't deviate from that. So antitrust can't price fix. Somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, Robert," I think Robert's watching right now. "Hey, Robert, what does your office charge for commission?" And Robert says, "Well, our office charges 7%. "Well, is that the norm, Robert?" Robert's going to say, "I have no idea what anybody else charges. I only know what our office charges." "But wouldn't you say that's about what everybody charges in your area, Robert?" Robert would then respond by saying, "I have no idea what anybody else charges. I only know what our office charges." Okay? "But is that the average?" "I have no idea what anybody else charges. I only know what our office charges." And then they will press you on that. Sometimes people will. And that's when you just say, "Look, because there are laws in place like the Sherman Antitrust price fixing legislation, I'm really not allowed to even venture into that area. I only know what our office charges, and I have no idea what anybody else charges." Okay? All right. I think you got that under control. Let's go out and take a look at a few of those questions. So I'm going to type in NAR, Antitrust Quiz. And we should come right out here to an antitrust quiz. Here we go, right here. Let's see. We only have 8 of these. They're true, false. You're not going to have true false, but these are good for us to go through, okay? And I'm going to take my picture in a picture off. And let's go right here. Okay. Number 1. 2 competitors in my market asked me to cooperate with them in setting a standard commission for the area. I refused, but subsequently started charging the same rate that my competitors suggested. Because I didn't overly agree to participate in price fixing, I am not a part of a conspiracy. Wow, that's a tough, isn't it? I refused, but subsequently started charging the same rate that my competitors suggested. Because I didn't overly agree to participate in price fixing, I'm not a party. I'm going to say false. I could be wrong. I don't like that question, but let's see. Even though my salespeople are independent contractors, I may establish the commission rate for my company and require salespeople to charge that rate. True. Commissions are between the broker and the client. I do have to say one thing, though. I'm not doing well. I've gotten 90% on the last one. These are tough questions, but the questions you're going to have on the exam are tough. So these will help us, but I just want to give a disclaimer that I could do bad. And if I do, I'm going to be very embarrassed on this video. So say a prayer for me, okay? All right. Number 3, brokers who agree not to cooperate with another company, such as by not showing that company's listings, do not violate antitrust laws if they enter into agreement because they consider the company's aggressive high-tech marketing techniques to be unethical. I'm going to say false. The best way to persuade sellers that they should enter into an exclusive right to sell agreement with you is to tell them that the MLS members have an informal understanding to show buyers exclusive right to sell listings first. I'm going to say false. Although the MLS does encourage exclusive right to sell, I don't like the words first there. Gosh, these are hard questions. I should have done this before we did the video. My company benefits from MLS participation, but we don't want to pay a cooperative commission split to real estate companies that offer only normal compensation on their listings, which we think includes simply so their listings are shown on Realtor.com and other public real estate websites. But if we decide to offer them the same amount of compensation that they offer us, we'll be breaking the law. My company benefits from MLS participation, but we don't want to pay a cooperative commission split to real estate companies that offer only nominal compensation on their listings, which we think they would simply so their listings are shown. If we decide to offer them the same amount of compensation that they offer us, we'll be breaking the law. I think that's true. 6, antitrust price fixing rules do not allow a real estate company to engage in a public advertising campaign that highlights the commission rate charges to consumers. I think that's false. It says do not allow, but I think you're allowed to highlight the commission rate you charge. You just wouldn't want to say in your commercial, everybody else charges this, we only charge. I think that's where you could get in trouble. 7, classified and display advertising rates in local newspapers have increased substantially, which hurts all the real estate companies in town. Yet no company is willing to stop advertising for fear of losing clients and customers to their competitors who continue to advertise at the high rates. To pressure the newspaper to reduce rates, which would benefit the companies and consumers, the real estate companies may agree that they will stop advertising unless and until the paper complies. Wow. I think I think that's false, but if one of my salespeople participates in a price-fixing discussion, my company can be held liable even if I have no personal knowledge of the salesperson's conduct. I think that's true. Wow, these are tough. So nobody's going to be really upset if I don't do well on this. These are hard. Okay, let's go press the magic button and see what we got. I have no idea. Some of these were really challenging. I should know, I guess, but 6 out of 8. Well, 2 competitors in my market asked me to cooperate with them in setting a standard commission for the area. I refused, but subsequently started charging the same rate that my competitors suggested. Because I didn't overly agree to participate in price fixing, I'm not a part of conspiracy. Well, that's true. I don't know. That was a hard question. So I'm okay with missing that one because to me that's pretty vague, and I guess I was drawing more into the question. 2, even though my salespeople are independent contractors, I may establish the commission rate for my company and require salespeople to charge that rate. True. That's a good question there. 3, brokers who agree not to cooperate with another company, such as by not showing their listings because, they think they're high tech. That's, they do not violate antitrust laws. I said false. They would be. You can't do that. 4, the best way to persuade sellers. That's false. And again, the reason I thought that was false is, that people are going to show exclusive right to sell first. That's not part of the MLS there. 5, my company benefits from MLS participation, but we don't want to pay a cooperative commission split to real estate companies that offer. If we decide to offer them the same amount of compensation that they offer us, we'll be breaking the law. I put false, or I put true, but I guess it is. A company may offer any other company any commission split it chooses as long as it determines to do so on its own and advises the other company privately and in advance. So that's the key. Such as by sending a letter to that company, a commission split that offers from what is offered in the MLS to all companies generally may be referred to as a punitive split. However, as long as these commission splits are determined and offered unilaterally and not in agreement with other firms, antitrust laws do not prohibit them. Well, see, I guess I was drawing more into that because I was reading this companies here. See that? Companies and us. So that's a bad question. I don't think you're going to see that. Antitrust price fixing rules do not allow a real estate company to engage in a public advertising campaign. That's false. You can do that. Remember, I said that was okay. 7, false. And 8. Oh, I got 6 out of 8. I was thinking there were 10 there, so I only missed 2. And if one of your people get involved in a discussion, can you be held liable even if you didn't have personal knowledge? True. And again, that would not be a good tactic for everybody to boycott the paper, so that's false. So I didn't do as bad as I thought, 6 out of 8. These 2 were, I read too much into this question, and this one I just had no idea. Probably read too much into that question as well. Well, antitrust, you need to know for the real estate exam. Just remember, no price fixing. Don't ever talk about commissions with other brokers or with other agents. You never know what everybody else charges. You never know the average. And commissions are always negotiable. They're negotiable between you and the client. negotiable between you and other brokers, and negotiable between you and your own agents too. All right? Well, let me put a couple of things up here. Let me put this one up. Here we go. Don't forget about my real estate exam coach. I am really excited about this program. I'm very excited because this week I'm finally getting back to normal. And I've got some little loose ends I'm trying to finish up with my real estate exam coach. It's in very good shape, and I've had a lot of students go through and all the answers are keyed correctly. But I'm adding more audio. I'm adding more digital flashcards. I'm adding just some really cool stuff like that. So go to myrealestateexamcoach.com, or you can go over to Global Real Estate School. Hey, be sure and like our YouTube channel. Check us out we're on Facebook. We have an Alexa app. She just heard me.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Did you hear that? I could say, Alexa, play the Global Real Estate School briefing, and she would play one of my latest podcasts. But anyway, we have an Alexa app, and I have to talk quietly around her. We also are on Instagram. We're trying to do more on IGTV. So appreciate your business. If you're thinking about getting your real estate license, you can join us at Global Real Estate School if you're in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Indiana, or South Dakota. We're working on other states right now as well. So, hey, as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your friendship, appreciate your nice comments. Like our YouTube channel. I need more subscribers. And as always, go out and make it a great day. I'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. See you then. Bye.